So the reason I like this video is because it demonstrates just how full of shit the media really is. I mean, here you've got Pierre Polievre sitting there eating an apple. Let's get right into the clip, okay? We'll talk about it after.
On the topic, I mean, in terms of your sort of strategy currently, you're obviously taking the populist pathway.
What does that mean?
Well, appealing.
Okay, first of all, if it's so obvious that he's taking a populist pathway, you should probably know what populism actually means. And spoiler alert, the definition is in the word. Populism, popular. Policies that are popular with the people, not the elites. You see, this was exactly what George Orwell was talking about when he despaired the decline of the English language because of meaningless words. Words like populism. The reporter has no idea what he's actually saying. He's just repeating a criticism that other people have made against Pierre Polievre. It's just like the word fascism. Fascism has no meaning anymore. It's just a smear term for people you disagree with. When somebody accuses somebody of being a fascist, they're not saying, oh, you want the state and corporations to act together in a centralized system, which is the economic definition of fascism, the merger of state and corporate interests. No, they just say, I don't like you, you're a fascist. And so we've lost so much of the meaning of words because of the abuse of language. And the thing is, for all the braying that elites do about the importance of democracy, all populism is democracy. It's the values of the public being put first ahead of the designs of the elite. So populism is considered something dangerous because it's not something that politicians can control. It's not something that the news media can control with their shaping of the narrative. And populism isn't left or right. Bernie Sanders was a populist. Donald Trump was a populist. Pierre Polievre, by the way, is not a populist. He's a centrist conservative politician. Frankly, he wouldn't have much appeal, at least to me, if it weren't for how absolutely awful his opposition is. I mean, Justin Trudeau, avowed cultural Marxist, just absolutely terrible when it comes to fiscal policy, monetary policy. He's basically bankrupting Canada, turning it into a third world nation. Anybody's going to look good compared to that. The reality is, Pierre Polievre is just a middle of the road, status quo, keep things as they are politician. At the very least, that's what I've heard from him, the message in this campaign. He doesn't want to do anything too radical, basically just sort of rein in some of the excessive spending and crazier policies of the Trudeau regime. So what is populism? It's anti-establishment, anti-elite, hostile to established political parties, and it's often a third way, a synthesis of left and right policies in response to very real conditions on the ground. And it just goes to show, when anybody leads something with, well, obviously, it's a good idea to step back and ask yourself, is that actually true?
To people's more emotional levels, I would guess. I mean, certainly you tap very strong ideological language quite frequently.
Like what?
Left wing, this and that, right wing.
This guy's got nothing, absolutely nothing. There's no basis for his questioning. And this is so typical of the media. They have a narrative, they run with it. It doesn't matter what the facts are, it doesn't matter what reality is. They live in their own world where they're used to shaping the narrative. He had absolutely nothing to substantiate anything that he was saying.
I mean, it's that type of ideological thing.
I never really talk about left or right.
Anyways, I don't
really believe in that.
Okay. A lot of people would say that you're simply taking a page out of the Donald Trump book.
Like which people would say that?
Well, I'm sure a great many Canadians, but
hasn't been able to give a single example of anything. Pierre Polievre is nothing like Donald Trump. I mean, Trump's a buffoon. He's an outrageous, buffoon who talks like he's an 8th grader. Pierre Polievre is the complete opposite. He's nuanced, he's articulate, he's well-read. He talks like a freaking adult. And I think that this video is endemic of the sorry state of our media today. That instead of trying to get to the truth, instead of actually asking questions based upon some substantive thing that the guy said or some policy that he proposed, they just push this narrative. A narrative that they create that has nothing to do with reality.
I don't know who, but...
Well, you're the one who asked the question, so
yeah.
You must know somebody.
Okay. I'm sure there's some out there, but anyways, the point of this question is, I mean, why should Canadians trust you with their vote, given, not just the sort of ideological inclination in terms of taking the page out of Donald Trump's book, but...
Oh my God, he doubled down on the Trump accusation. This guy is just, he's and Pierre Polievre just destroying him casually by saying, oh, well, what's your example of that? Apple, take a big bite. Just utterly destroying this guy.
What are you talking about? What page? What page? Can you give me a page? Give me the page. You keep saying that.
In terms of turning things quite dramatically, in terms of Trudeau and the left wing and all of this, I mean, you make quite a, it's quite a play that you make on it. So I'm
not sure.
Wondering.
I don't know what your question is.
Then forget that. Why should Canadians trust you with their vote?
Common sense.
Okay.
Common sense for a change. We're going to make common sense common in this country. We don't have any common sense in the current government. The guy prints $600 billion, grows our money supply by 32% in 3 years. That's growing the money 8 times faster than the economy. No wonder we have the worst inflation in 4 decades.
Boom, headshot.
I'm going to cap spending, cut waste, so that we can balance the budget and bring down inflation and interest rates. You'll want to be able to pay your mortgage again? You want to be able to afford rent? Then you have to vote for Pierre Polievre, because I'm
boom, headshot.
The only one with a common sense plan that will bring back the buying power of your paycheck.
On the topic, I mean,
and that's why he's going to be Canada's next Prime Minister.